I'm Kat,
I'm Christina.
And I'm Jen.
and welcome to an all new episode of the Hometown Haunts podcast. We are three creatives who love ghost stories as much as you do. Here we share stories from around the world sent in by our listeners. You can find our Hometown Haunts community on Facebook, Instagram at Hometown Haunts _podcast, and on Blue Sky at hometownhaunts.bsky.social. Hello, welcome back. It's been a few months since we've spoken to one another.
Just a few.
Just a
Yeah, crazy.
few airplane rides,
Yeah, international travel.
international travel, some
Yeah.
domestic travel,
Yeah.
travel.
Yeah, it's
Or
been kind of crazy.
It has been. Like, Christina, you were in Italy, and I
Yes,
went back up to Juneau, Alaska, and we have stories from both these locations. But I'm really curious about how Italy was, Christina.
it was really cool. I had not been through that much Florence before, and I love the clifftop cities there and towns. It seems unique to me because I don't think I've seen a lot of places with that type of architecture. They built everything. Obviously, the reason they built everything on hills was because people were always invading each other. So if you're on top of the hill, you can see the hordes of armies coming to steal all your stuff. And so I could see how the trend came, but it was really stunning how they looked sort of on the tops of mountains and you'd see all these little towns, and it was really neat to sketch. And it was just something I had not really taken in before because when I'd been to Italy before, we were just in the cities. We didn't
Hmm.
explore the towns and stuff. And I'm proud to say, proud, I don't know if it's the right word. I was on Mount Etna in between eruptions. They had an eruption the week before we were there,
Hmm.
and then Lisa and I went up and I kind of hiked up a little bit. She didn't want to, it was a very steep walk. And so I walked, it actually cut up my shoes
Oh,
because
oh
wow.
of
wow.
the lava rock. I mean, it kind of reminds me of Mount Doom because it's black and it's
Yeah.
covered in all of this ash. And when I looked at my shoes on the gondola on the way back down, I noticed they were all cut up. And
Hmm.
I didn't realize it was that sharp. I guess you should wear leather shoes or something.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
obsidian is used as a knife, even for
yes.
surgery to this day. That's a lava rock. So that
Yeah,
was
and
going through your shoe.
yeah, and so we actually shifted the plans around, and I was originally supposed to be in Italy till the 2nd,
Hmm.
and then we shifted it and I left the 27th, which was good because the 2nd was when they were erupting and it was a big eruption, and there's all this great video of people running like crazy from the eruption. I mean, you could see the day we left there was smoke. It always kind of belches smoke a little bit, but
Right.
Mhm.
it
Wow.
was one of the biggest ones they've had in years, and so
Wow.
it was really interesting. There's
Oh,
been a lot
wow.
of volcanic activity actually around
There
the
has
world in the
been.
past,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
This
guess,
is
couple
like the
weeks.
second or third volcano to erupt. There's
Yes.
one forming off the coast of Oregon
Oh
under
yeah.
the sea right now. So Oregon may get its own island
Mm.
or another island. I don't
Hmm.
I don't know the geography of Oregon's coast too well. I just know dead bodies wash up on it. Don't know
but
how handy that is.
but it was a really interesting trip, and I loved. I didn't know that Sicily's. We were in Sicily for a week, and Sicily's, I guess what you would call its coat of arms or banner is the three-legged Medusa.
Oh.
Ooh.
And that's such a neat symbol, which yeah, they have that, and they also have these two. You see these two heads everywhere,
Mhm.
and it's to decorate. And they're two planters, and it's a like a guy with a turban and
Mhm.
a girl, and they have like they're usually like decorated with fruit or lots of jewelry or whatever. And it's
Mhm.
based on this legend of this woman who falls in love with, I want to say a Moorish, but I don't know if the Moors were in Italy, but some sort of Middle Eastern man,
Mhm.
and there was a couple different stories, and one of them, he cheats on her, so she murders him and uses his head as a planter.
Right
And
on.
the other story was she wasn't allowed to marry him, and it was almost like the family murdered them both. There was a couple different stories, but they
So the
had these.
moral of the story is skulls make good planters.
Yes, they're not skulls; they're like decorated heads. And
Meaty.
they're very pretty, and they had them everywhere. You could get little ones, big ones. They're planters everywhere, and I thought that was sort of an interesting. It's almost like a fairy tale kind of thing,
Yeah.
sort of the Romeo and Juliet kind of story where they have the kids that are forbidden lovers, and
Yeah.
there's several ways that they get killed, but the end result was always that you planted flowers in their heads.
So, listeners, if you know
Wonderful.
what Christina is talking about, please email us because I'm curious about this story.
It is really interesting. Yeah, the Sicilian travel website listed two different versions of the story.
Okay.
Mm.
Because right
But
now, the image in my head is like a very strange chia pet. And I'm not sure if that's what's supposed to be happening.
it's actually very beautiful ceramic. Is figurine the right word? I guess if it's a planter,
Planter.
you imagine a pot, but it's a sculpture of an
Mhm.
attractive man and an attractive woman, and they were all different, color combinations, all sorts of different. Like I said, sometimes they have lots of jewelry on, sometimes it's a lot of fruit, sometimes
Did
it's
did you
flowers.
have to have both? Or can you just have one or the other? Like, do bad things happen if you don't have both?
I did not read
That's a
that
good
bad things
question.
happen, but it is definitely everywhere. Like
Yeah.
people have, and you could buy them as souvenirs to take home, and they were definitely used as decorations in a lot of places.
Cool.
So it was just such an interesting mythos, and perhaps it's everybody has these sort of. I guess a best way to describe it would be an urban legend,
Mm. Yeah.
just a very very old one.
I imagine Italy is full of those.
Oh
I
yes,
see.
definitely. Oh, you found them.
Yeah, it's like they'd be a pair.
Yes.
Huh. I see what they are. Sicilian head planters for sale. That could be taken a few different ways.
Exactly. When I first read the description, because the one where she murders him and then plants, it's just like, really, this is a really strange story.
Yeah, it's the one of the article titles is "Heads Up: The Tragic Love Story Behind Sicily's Moorish Head Planters."
Oh, so Morris was right. I wasn't
Moorish is
sure
right, but I'm not going to read
because
the article right now. But wow, okay,
the
that
reason I brought it up is it's creepy and it kind of goes
it
with
is
urban
creepy.
Yeah.
legends.
And,
Yeah,
Sort of like the
don't
hand with the
cheat on
hook
your
or something.
girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife. Just don't.
it's kind of the reverse of the Oxford Light, where that gentleman lost his head.
Mm-hmm.
This one we keep it,
Yep.
but the body goes away.
Yeah. It's a reminder. Don't mess with her.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Guess so. Wow, legends are dark.
They are.
They definitely are. I wonder if this is a unique one to the island, or if there is some analogous stories around. But that's the only place I saw those,
That's interesting.
and
Hmm.
Did
that's
you
why it was
go
notable.
into any cemeteries?
They have the coolest cemeteries, actually. They are, and the thing I didn't know until I went there, obviously, was that you only rent your cemetery plot for a few years, and then they just sort of push all the stuff back and resell the plots.
Yep, they put you in an ossuary.
Yes, and
Yes.
so that was kind of interesting, but they kind of had they reminded me more of the Buenos Aires cemeteries, because
Mhm,
a lot of them were most of them were mausoleums.
mhm,
Like they weren't as much buried in the ground. I mean, they had some, but
mhm.
most of it was mausoleums. And
Yeah.
then like maybe family mausoleums with like a family name on them and a bunch of people or, you know, individual plots.
Yeah, because you're
Mm.
dealing with hundreds of years of bodies. And if you don't do it in a mausoleum style where there's essentially a pit at the bottom of each
Hmm.
mausoleum, especially the family ones, where your bones all just fall once you decompose enough, I guess this is a trigger warning. Don't eat anything while listening to our podcast
Yeah,
because
not a
kind
good
of gets
idea.
gross.
I love
Um,
beheadings, cemeteries.
yes, but yeah, basically as your body decomposes you slowly fall into the ossuary, and um there would just be so much. Having that many bodies in your soil really messes up just the balance of everything and poisons the soil. So that's why Europe and a lot of other parts around just western, just Europe, the UK, you have to do it. The ones that I had to study were all in Greece, but you have to make these mausoleums and basically make sure they're contained and not leaking so they
Mm.
don't contaminate the soil and the water. And yeah, you rent them. And if you're not in a family crypt, essentially, and then you get moved to a public, well, like a church crypt for everyone, a community crypt, a
Hmm.
community ossuary where your
Hmm.
bones will mingle with the bones of your ancestors and every other person who ever lived in the village.
Yeah, it was really interesting, and they were beautiful. I mean, they were. We didn't sketch at any of them,
Mhm.
but you know, maybe because a lot of them have really interesting statuary too,
Mhm.
and so that would be something interesting. Maybe I'm going to be going to I'm going to be doing another workshop in Sicily in 27, and part of it
Ooh.
will be during the flower festival in Noto. And Sicily was just a really interesting place. They had some really nice Greek ruins that we went to,
Mhm.
and there's just a lot of interesting history around there. And so I'm looking forward to going back and sketching there. I did a lot of sketching, so
That
it
sounds
was
really
fun.
nice.
Yeah, it was really enjoyable. And the second part, while we were scouting out what we were going to do in Sicily, Lisa brought her little dog, and this dog was the most well behaved little dog I've
Aw.
ever seen.
Oh,
But she was terrified of everything.
yeah.
But we got some really cute pictures of her, like in front of some of the
Aw,
ruins.
that's really sweet.
Yeah, it was really nice. I might do a travelogue on it. I have to get through my Romania one. It has to go to the printer Monday.
Mhm. Oh, wow.
Well, so I can have it by Sketcherfest, which is in July.
I was gonna ask
So
about Sketcherfest.
yes, it looks like it's going to be a really nice event. I think it's almost sold out,
Ooh.
and I'm really excited to meet the other sketchers. And
Mhm.
some of our friends from Portland are also coming up. I don't know if they're
Mhm.
going to do any events because they're bringing their dogs. I think
Mhm.
they're going to do some of the outdoor events.
Yeah.
They can
Edmonds
bring
is
dogs.
very dog friendly from what I understand. It's
Oh,
also a
good,
good
good.
whale watching place.
Oh, that's exciting.
From what I heard, where Sketcherfest is happening, there's a ferry terminal there, but it's not uncommon to see whales, like our southern resident orcas. If they're in the area, they may pass by there. So
Oh,
that's
nice.
pretty exciting. And I'm going. I have tickets. I have a
Yay!
ticket to your workshop on Sunday.
Yay!
So, and I'm bringing Blaine and Ashley along with me.
Oh,
So,
awesome. So they're going to or is it the lecture? The lecture or
it's
the
the lecture that's on Sunday. Whichever event you're doing on Sunday, I'm
Oh,
doing
great.
that. Because the
Excellent.
Saturday tickets were already all sold out.
Mm.
And so I'll just be there on Sunday and then doing, like, looking through the main art fair area and then sketching around. I've never been to Edmonds, so this
I
will be
never have.
fun.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. And they're going to have a sketchbook, like I guess you can look at everybody's sketchbooks, a sort of showcase, I guess,
Hmm.
which should be really nice. And
Ooh.
people will be selling merch. So I we have prints and stickers and
Hmm.
books, that sort of thing. So it's really exciting. It's a really neat event.
Hmm.
And I'm glad you all are coming. And I actually decided to rent a car. I was going to take public transportation
Yeah.
there, and then I was looking, and it said it would be a 2-hour to take the train, and then I wasn't sure how close the hotel was to the train, and I was going to have an extra suitcase with merch in it, and
Mhm.
I decided that this could be risky. I didn't
Yeah,
want to
it's
drag a 50-pound suitcase of books around trying to
yeah.
get to.
Edmonds is a good 40-minute drive easy from
Mhm,
SeaTac, and it's north of Seattle.
mhm.
So it's even north of Linwood, if I remember correctly. So yeah, that would be an extremely long ride on light rail through the city.
Yes, it
And
said 2 hours.
yeah, that's that's too long. And yeah, it's a 40-minute drive from my house up to Edmonds too, but I go up the 405.
But I was also concerned about flying back because to take light rail meant I'd have to leave at 4 or 3 in the morning to get
Yeah.
there, and
And
that seemed
the light
difficult.
rail station also it now connects to SeaTac,
Mhm,
but it's still a pretty long walk underground to get to it. It's
mhm.
like a quarter of a mile, maybe half a mile. Um, I remember walking past it when you go to the rent-a-car actually. You have to walk past it where the entrance was. And I was like, "Oh, that's how you get there." That or I'm misremembering and thinking it's Logan Airport, but it's just it's far.
Regardless, anytime
Yeah,
you're carrying a lot of stuff,
it's not fun.
yeah,
Uh-uh.
it seemed risky. A lot of the stuff that we're doing seemed like it would be difficult without a vehicle, and that'll
Yeah.
make it easier for some friends that are visiting and stuff too. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see everyone.
Yeah.
So tell us about Juneau.
Oh, Juneau was wonderful, as it usually is, especially in May. We did get some rain at the very beginning, but it wasn't anything like out of the ordinary. It was just your normal drizzle. It was fun seeing a lot of friends again and making a lot of new friends from around the country that flew in to the Alaska Robotics Minicon. Um, and also the camp that happens afterwards. There was actually a very good we can link it in the show notes, a much more detailed article that a comic book journalist wrote about the entire week and all the activities that we did. So, which goes into greater detail than what I could say right now without boring everyone, I think. Because no one wants to watch the PowerPoint of Cat's trip to Juneau. But I did get
I
to
don't know.
see.
I'd watch it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah,
I
that's
would.
cool. Let's see. Just it was good seeing everyone. We had as artists, we got a scavenger hunt card that the minicon put together for us, and it's all the different sponsors of minicon around downtown. We got to go to each one of their stores, and if we sketched some part of their store, they gave us something for free.
Oh,
So
that's
like
cool.
when we went to Amalga Distillery, I sketched a cocktail and they gave me the cocktail for free. When I went to the Alaska was it the Alaska Fudge Company, I just sketched their front of their store, well, their storefront, and they gave me a free treat, which was a tiny little bonbon. Well, not tiny. It
Oh,
was a good sized bonbon. And then I bought a bunch of fudge because I love
mhm.
fudge. But there was just fun things all around. There was an event at the Crystal Palace, which was an arcade, and we got to go just get food and do that. I went and visited a bunch of fourth graders that were in the Mendenhall Valley and did a cartoon or a comic with them about making zines. I got to see the Mendenhall Glacier for the first time, really up close from one of the viewing platforms. The volunteer that drove me to their school, can you imagine this? Going to school every day, and there is a massive glacier about 2 miles away from your school. So you go
Oh, that sounds
outside and you
cool.
can just see it. This glacier looks like a frozen wave.
Oh,
And when
cool.
you're on a platform near it, you can feel the just frigidness coming off of it.
Oh,
And
that's
there's
cool.
it was so cool. It was so blue. It was awesome. And there was also a waterfall not too far away from it that was all glacial water going into a lake.
Oh, wow.
And Pat Race, who runs it, Um, he was telling me that it's really fun kayaking in that lake in the summertime with all the wildflowers blooming. It's really picturesque. I can see that. That sounds awesome. Um, and then there was the mini con. I led again for the second year in a row a creature creation workshop. So we kind of played a version of Exquisite Corpse, where people would chime in with different ideas of what I can use for a head, for a body, and for legs or a tail. And they were all different animal prompts. So the first one was the head of a jumping spider with the body of a ladybug with some mythical kind of alien looking arms that somebody insisted on. And then it had the body of an octopus and it was eating another spider's head and vomiting it up. This is
Wonderful.
very much my class. Very much my
Yes.
class.
I love it.
Yeah. And that, so the point of it though was as we're doing all the different creatures and different parts of an animal, I was teaching them how to actually make that texture as an illustrated form. So like this is how you illustrate hair, this is how you illustrate vomit. That was fun. This is how you illustrate slime or like the soft skin of an octopus and tentacles and stuff like that. So it was really fun. We made 3 creatures in total in a 50-minute class, and
Nice.
everyone seemed
Awesome.
really to enjoy that. And then the sun came out and we all went to actual comics camp, which is on one of the beaches outside of Juneau. And it was really nice. I got to go hike along the Eagle River, which was a first, which is instead of going along a channel, it was going inland towards the glaciers. And this was a river that was fed by a different glacier, not the Mendenhall Glacier. So it was really nice. And definitely encourage people to apply to camp. And those applications usually go out. They open up in October. So fun
So-
experience.
Will you do it again next year?
Oh yeah. I love going. It's very nice being able to disconnect from everything. There's no cell service once you go to camp. Actually,
Excellent.
you don't even get to camp before cell service just disappears.
Wow.
And you get, if you're, a lot of campers like me like to go foraging and do plein air painting of local fauna.
Nice.
And so I actually got to lead a group of about 12 people through the forest to the beach to go just do a plein air session just at the mountains and everything, which
Oh, how
was
beautiful.
super relaxing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
That's the
that's why. Yeah. So of course, I do a lot of community events in Juneau. I enjoy doing it. I'm one of the really loud artists that go and be like, "We love art. Everyone do art. Art, art, art. Comics." Like really silly like that.
I like the
And
cheer.
yes.
Yes. Good
it's
one.
good. We like art. Art, art, art. Art, art, art. Comics. Can make it a ringtone.
Mhm.
And so I do bring the Cincinnati Cabinet of Curiosities with me to sell at MiniCon, and there's a great amount of people that are expats from the Midwest that recognize a lot of Cincinnati landmarks that we have in the books. And one of them was a former manager of Juneau Drug, which I think I mentioned 2 years ago after coming back, that she came by and she bought all the books, but she's like, "Wow, this is really cool that you had local artists and writers retelling ghost stories. I have a ghost story from Juneau Drug." And I'm like, "Really?" And basically she would go into the basement, and if you can imagine this, we've done an episode on Juneau, the history of Juneau, but it was really largely a mining town established in the 1800s. So a lot of these buildings are, you're going to have a basement cold storage and then 2 or 3 stories above it, depending on the building. And all of Front Street, which is where Juneau Drug is, has cold storage basements. And she would go down there and it just creeped her out for just no, she couldn't figure out why. And I'm sitting there going, because of poorly shielded electrical?
Maybe.
But she's like, I felt weird, and other members of staff would say they would get touched, and it just creeped everyone out. So this year, somebody stopped me and said, Juneau Drug is haunted. I'm like, yeah, I heard from one of the managers. They said it was really haunted. And they're like, oh, no, no. It's not just haunted because it's creepy. It used to be a temporary morgue. And I'm
Oh,
like,
Really?
the
wow.
what? So it, if anybody is from Southeast Alaska that is listening tonight, if I get anything wrong, please let us know. But this is also an abbreviated version of this entire story. So I'm going to do a little mini book report, mini one. It's I don't want to take 40 minutes to do this, about the haunted inside passage and the um, disaster of the Princess Sophia. So, have you ever heard about this shipwreck at all?
Mm-mm.
All
No.
right. So, my sources for tonight are the National Park Service, Haunted Inside Passage, Ghost Legends and Mysteries of Southeast Alaska, and a very chatty Juneau resident, and also the Juneau Empire newspaper. So, basically, one of the most visited locations in Juneau downtown is Juneau Drug. You cannot miss it. This building is labeled Juneau Drug in gigantic antique letters. And if you need anything from the cruise ships that like you need medicine or pads or strange discount souvenirs from Juneau, you can buy it at Juneau Drug. And I went there and got a COVID test. It was so much fun. But they're all really friendly staff, and they're really right next to the Rookery, which is a really good cafe. Um, but yeah, a lot of tourists end up going to Juneau Drug. But what they don't know is when you're on the first floor walking through the main store, just beneath you is where they used to store dozens of bodies from the wreck of the Princess Sophia in 1918. So, the SS Princess Sophia was a Canadian Pacific steamer under the ownership of the Canadian Pacific Railway, and it would sail along the west coast of Canada and Alaska. And its major ports of call were Vancouver, Alert Bay, Prince Rupert in British Columbia, then Wrangell, Ketchikan, Juneau, and Skagway in Alaska, then known as the Territory of Alaska. On the evening of October 23rd, 1918, the Princess Sophia departed Skagway. She was more than 3 hours behind schedule when she took off. Now, for those who don't know, Skagway is in between Juneau and Anchorage. So you're going to be sailing south in this particular passage. And they're going through the what is known as the Inside Passage of Alaska, which is the southeast area that goes all the way down to British Columbia. And it's just a maze, a labyrinth of small islands and inlets that these ships are going through. Now, the SS Princess Sophia, or we're just going to call it the Sophia, was a ship built in particular to sail in this inside passage. So it was used to Alaskan winters. This was its 6th year of existence. And it had actually, I think, 3 other sister boats as well. Anyway, they were 4 hours into their southern journey towards Juneau, and when they encountered a blinding snowstorm blowing them off course in the inlet known as the Lynn Canal, which is just north of Juneau. Captain Locke navigated through the inlet at full speed despite the snow, and it was blinding snow because it was basically just a gale storm that was enveloping them. And due to the heavy snow conditions, the crew was required to use dead reckoning by blowing the ship's whistle and making calculations as to the location within the canal based on the time of the echo coming back and the whistle return. The ship was at least 1 nautical mile or 1.9 kilometers or 1.2 miles off course, leading them straight into the Vanderbilt Reef. The Vanderbilt Reef is a rocky tip of an underwater mountain, and it's at high tide, it is nearly invisible to see the tip of this mountain, but at low tide, it stands about 12 feet high or 3.7 meters. above the water line. When the Princess Sophia happened upon it, it was high tide, and the reef's marker was an unlit buoy at the time in 1918, and they rammed straight into it, which caused an interesting issue. For 40 hours, this ship with a little over 300 passengers was marooned on the tip of this underground mountain. And there was several different fishing boats and other steamers that tried and circled to try to get the passengers off the boat. The captain wouldn't let them leave because if you would lower a one of the lifeboats in, the waves were so rough they would immediately just smash against the rocks or against the boat. What he didn't know was that there was a massive hole in his hull. So after 40 hours, they managed to not save anybody. There was at least 6 different boats out there trying to do rescue conditions. It is snowing, it is galing, and between those 2 conditions, the boat managed to slowly meander. It got off the mountain once high tide picked it up, and then immediately sank within an hour. Like, people did not have life jackets on. They couldn't lower the rowboats or any of the lifeboats. All hands on deck, spare 1 dog died. And the dog was an Irish setter that was found in Auk Bay the following day.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was not a good way how they died. It wasn't hypothermia. It wasn't the Titanic. What happened is when the boat went down, from what I can understand, all the oil from the engines came bubbling up, and they all basically drowned in oil.
Oh,
So,
God.
as described when they were being pulled out,
Even worse.
they looked like pieces of liver being pulled out of the ocean.
Ew.
Mm,
Oh,
Yet
man.
again,
that's
I hope no
horrifying.
one is eating. Cat is gross.
Yeah,
Anyway.
we've
No, that's
kind of taken a
awful.
dark turn here.
Yeah, well, that's the reason why it's haunted. Let's see. Um, so in 1918, roughly 3,000 people called Juneau home, and they immediately sprang into action. Within basically the first few days, by November 1st, and the accident happened on October 26th. By November 1st, 180 bodies had been brought out of the steamer and the surrounding waters to Juneau, and that's where they ended up in all of these cold basements along Front Street, because there's 180 bodies that needed to be identified. They also quickly discovered that there weren't enough undertakers and coffins for everyone that needed them. So why am I saying we? There was undertakers and other supplies were brought in to Juneau from Southeast Alaska and as far south as Seattle, just to be able to accommodate all the people that needed to be embalmed and sent back home. And most of the people that were on Princess Sophia were coming up from northern Alaska, trying to basically outrun the extremely harsh winter weather. And many were going to places like Philadelphia or California. They were going to warmer locations, and they didn't make it out in time. So these bodies then needed to be shipped off to warmer locations. But not all the bodies were discovered within that window. Some weren't even found until July of the following year.
Wow.
And their bodies were retrieved from inside the Sophia by professional divers. So it's much like modern times with a shipwreck. Not all the bodies come up. Some of them you have to have professional teams go in, retrieve them, and bring them back to the shore. So basically, Juneau Drugs basement, especially an auxiliary room that is in the side of the main storage area, was used as a temporary morgue. And they just call it the room. The employees just call it the room. Nothing is in the room except for some abandoned snow shovels, random popcorn butter cartons, and a abandoned staircase that leads to nowhere, which creeped out one of the managers.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I know. This is according to a Juneau Empire article. Um, but oh yeah, and then utility pipes because they use that as a utility room. But the employees have recorded or reported having absolutely creepy vibes in the basement. It's not just a storage room, but especially this room. There have been apparitions witnessed by employees. The most notable one was a little boy. This employee went downstairs to just pick up some stock of something that had gone out of stock in the store above, dropped the item, and when she picked it up and looked, there was a little boy staring at her.
Ugh.
And that creeped her out because why would there be a child there? Other employees and managers have been touched by phantom hands on their arms and backs, and they've also felt breath on their faces while getting items out of storage. And of course, the overwhelming feeling of dread. Then that is the story of the ghosts of the Sophia. Some other little key things I read about in the Haunted Inside Passage book is that the location where the Sophia is still 60 feet underwater.
Wow.
It's a very popular tourist dive spot now. I believe all the bodies have been removed. But there's a lighthouse that's only a few hundred yards away from it that even though it was tended to and their light was going, when Sophia went down, the snow was so bad that they couldn't even see the lighthouse.
Wow.
Wow.
And there is a new icon or buoy warning system to say, hey, there be an underground mountain here. Don't sail here, but you can kayak around it. The lighthouse keepers have reported hearing voices when no one has been anywhere nearby. Um, and also, this is not close to Juneau. This is even further north than where Comics Camp is. So you're not going to, the only people that would be going by would be actual other boats and then helicopters going up to the glaciers. So they've reported the sound of people purposely walking up the stairs of the lighthouse with no one there. They've heard people laughing and singing when no one was on the water, and just phantom screams, basically. So it's just a terrible accident. This is still one of the worst maritime accidents in
Wow.
the Pacific, especially to be passengers. Let's see, there were 268 passengers and 75 crew. All hands went down except for a dog. So that ghost story that I got when I was at mini camp or mini comics con this year. The other encounter I had was at my Airbnb.
Ooh.
So this was my only actual ghost story that I encountered this time. But we were staying at an Airbnb that was downtown, and Blaine and Ashley were with me. And this was actually when we were leaving, and which was on Saturday morning around 8 a.m. So bright sun. For the record, the sun comes up at 4:30 in the morning in Juneau this time of year.
Too early.
Which means also the ravens come out at 4:30 in the morning. So you hear them squawking and gawking. You can't escape them. You wake up at 4:30. So we're packed up. We're getting all of our suitcases down to a friend who is taking us to the mini-con along with all of our luggage. And I'm the last one out. So I was making sure that everything was out of the Airbnb, that the door was properly locked. And this was part of a multi-apartment house that had been, and I forget, it had been a very wealthy merchant who had built this mansion, and then it had gone through the family and it still has stayed in the family, but they eventually turned it into different apartments at some point during I think the 30s, and now all those different apartments are essentially Airbnbs that you can stay at.
Oh.
And we were in one of them, making sure everything was locked up. I'm going down to the main lobby. I put one suitcase down. There is a small staircase of about 4 steps and then a landing. I'm on the landing, just kind of moving bags down, and I can see somebody peer out up the staircase. They had brown hair, and it looked like a young woman or a really young boy. They peered up at me, and I was just like, oh, somebody must be trying to get up the stairs to go to their Airbnb. And I was just like, sorry, I'll be a second. And then when I kind of righted myself to look directly down, there was no one there. And there is a closed circuit like camera right there just for surveillance. And I'm like, wow, that's weird. And I just walk out and I'm like, okay, did not
That's
expect to
really
run into
wild.
a ghost. Ironically, the neighbors of this building were at MiniCon this year because everyone in Juneau comes to MiniCon just to meet everyone. And they're like, oh, yeah, there's a lot of weird things that happened there. And the history of the house is very strange. But they had
Ooh.
never heard of a ghost story from there. But they weren't surprised when I mentioned what I saw. So, and it was just a very interesting, very mundane ghost sighting, but one that I was like, that I could describe what the person looked like. So it
How
happened.
often how often do you think people see ghosts but not realize they're ghosts?
You know what? I think it happens more often than we all think
Mhm.
because just it's super mundane. Like it's not something like out of Poltergeist where the walls are bleeding and you have skeletons crawling out of a pool. That's
Mhm.
that's fiction. What real ghost stories are like is passing a ghost on a sidewalk, and the
Mhm.
only reason why you notice that they're off is that maybe they're wearing clothes that are slightly not of this time, or they don't have feet, or they just disappear within seconds of being seen. So I know Boston Common is a really popular place to see
Interesting.
ghosts. Um, I would think Washington Park in Cincinnati as well, seeing as that used to be a cemetery.
Oh yeah,
But
I'll bet there. And how would you know? I mean, there's
yeah,
so many people there. You probably you wouldn't take it in.
yeah,
Mm-mm.
yeah, exactly. When there's a big crowd, and if you get overwhelmed in crowds like I do, there's just like
You're not paying
you're
attention.
not paying attention to that. You kind of checked out and you're just trying not to get and like run into somebody.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think it's way more common than people would think. But
That's a really exciting story.
you can't take a poll on that. I guess we technically could. We could go, "Hey, have you seen a ghost before?" Me. Yes, no. Let's
Now
see.
the house that we stayed in, I think it was built in the 1500s.
Oh, cool.
It was
That
an
is
old
awesome.
farmhouse. It actually used to have animals in it. The one in the not the one in Tuscany, not in Sicily.
Mhm.
And there was supposedly a little boy that died upstairs, and some of the people that work on it said that they'd seen him before. But
Oh,
I didn't see anything. And none of us that I know of saw him.
no. But
But
that's interesting.
they
Mhm.
said, I mean, but like this farmhouse used to have animals in it. Like
Mhm.
people like shared their house, not with cats and dogs just, but also, the animals too.
Mhm.
But I always wonder kind of what, because one thing you've kind of said is sometimes spirits attached to stuff. And one thing that was interesting, if you were raised Catholic, is that in Catholic lore, and not just Catholic, but Eastern Orthodox and stuff, all the churches have bones or other body parts of
Yep,
saints there.
relics. Yeah.
Yes. And there was one, I think it was in Siena, and it was this young saint died, and she wasn't even persecuted. I forget why she died and why she became a saint, but her head, mummified head, is still in the church. They won't let you take pictures of it, but you can buy postcards of it. And if so, I did, of course. And I did a sketch of it too.
I was
And
about
her
to say, can you
finger's there
sketch
too.
it?
I could have, we weren't there long enough to sketch it. So I did a
Mhm.
sketch of it later,
Okay.
and I bought a postcard of it. But it's really interesting because it looks like something out of a, weird Ken Russell film or something, because you have the head and then it's like behind bars, kind of.
Mhm.
And of course, nobody's looking at anything else in the church but this head. And then, of course, it's also got her finger. And it's kind of unusual, I think, in Catholic churches to show the relics like this.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to Eastern Orthodox, they usually have a little showcase with bones and stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's very sort of gruesome or whatever, but I don't know if you see a lot of spirit activity or anything in these different places. Probably not.
Oh no.
I mean,
Did
there's so many.
you go see the little girl in the coffin that looks like she's sleeping in Sicily? I'm not sure where it is.
We did not see that,
Okay.
so you'll have to find out where it is. So when I go back, we can see.
Okay.
Yeah, she's really well preserved, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly. Like,
Yeah.
however she was embalmed
Mhm.
was really good, and she's just
Yeah.
not decayed a lot since she died. I think in the like 19 teens.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
But
yeah, that would
She's
be
in a glass
interesting.
coffin. You can go visit
yeah,
her.
yeah, she's like a real Sleeping Beauty type,
Mhm.
except for she's a
Ah.
child. So let's not call her that. Anyway, I was gonna ask with the little boy ghost, what did people say? How did they encounter him? Like, was there a particular area of the house that people saw him? Did he
I
play
think they
tricks?
saw them upstairs because there's several apartments upstairs,
Mm-hmm.
and so apparently he died in one of them.
Mm.
No.
So I will get the more full story on that. We can talk about it
Mm-hmm.
next. But that was the only haunting that they mentioned there. I mean, these buildings are so interesting because they're just stone. I mean,
Yeah.
they're so thick and so. I mean, they last for 1,000 years or whatever. And
Mhm.
you think about
Mhm.
most houses are not even going to last 100 that they build
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, that is very true.
Everything's sort of disposable or whatever.
A little bit too disposable, yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
well, that's interesting though. He never visited you while you were sleeping? You didn't get any toes
Well, if he
pulled?
did, I didn't notice.
Okay.
I mean, one thing that was nice, it was nice and quiet out there.
Mm.
I mean, we were sort of in a rural area where we stayed, and it's really pretty. Like,
Mhm.
the little town next door is, of course, on the top of a steep hill. It's a littler one, and it
You
was
did
just
not skip leg day while you were visiting, did you?
no, it was a lot of steep walking up to these different towns and stuff, but
Mhm.
it was very fascinating. And of course, one of them had a torture museum, which I guess that's
Nice.
something tourists like, but
Yep.
that's something that you probably have more stuff attached to.
Maybe.
Perhaps. I don't know. When we saw one in Romania, they had one, and they didn't have it this year when we went, or sorry, in 2024 when we went, but they had like a special exhibit in Bran Castle, which is Dracula's castle.
Mhm.
And Jeb and I kind of felt, I mean, we don't usually see ghosts or whatever, but it just felt really icky.
Mm.
Like we just didn't like it. It was just
Yeah, that would
it had a
be
bad feeling kind of to it.
that'd be
Yeah.
cruel to do it in that castle because torture still happened. Like,
Hmm.
even if it was or was not related to um Vlad Tepes, it was
No,
uh
some of it probably very recent. There's a
yeah.
Fagarash, which is a citadel, was where they used to keep political prisoners during
No.
Ceausescu.
Yeah. So that's a little recent. So
Hmm.
I could see why spirits would be upset. It's like I remember when I went to the London Dungeon, which I'm not sure if it still exists as a attraction. It was a very campy.
Was it part of Madame Tussauds
I think that one is part of Madame
thing?
Tussauds. I'm thinking
Yeah,
there was another one. So yeah, London Dungeon was part of Tussauds. That still
yeah.
is around. I
Okay.
remember walking through that,
And there's
and
Tower of
although
London.
yeah, and then there's the Tower of London when I went did not have a dungeon associated
Oh,
with it. But the London Dungeon part of Trousseau's, I remember freaked out and then realizing I liked being freaked out, but did not sense anything from there other than
Mm.
like rubber and silicone. It
yeah, because it's not real.
yeah, none of it was real. It's not on a like although it's probably on a historic location, I wasn't picking up anything.
Except for
Tower of
maybe the
London,
Marie
hmm?
Antoinette baby, because that was actually a death mask.
Yeah,
She
that's her
actually
death
made,
mask. Yeah,
so maybe that might have, but nothing else
maybe.
probably.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fascinating and eerie looking at all those death masks.
Hmm.
And my mom was creeped out and I did not get a long enough look to just kind of take in what we were looking at. And my mom was like, "No, this is too creepy. Nope," and just wished me along.
But there was another dungeon you went to?
There's another dungeon. It was a dungeon attraction in London that was near the Thames that was not Madame Tussauds. And that one was also super campy. That was the point of my
Hmm.
story, was even though it was supposed to be very terrifying, it was ended up being super campy, and I didn't feel at all scared. So that's actually, sorry. That story was a letdown. I'm sorry, everyone. Um but like the Tower of London, that is super heavy to walk through that, especially when you go towards the gates along the Thames, where
Hmm.
people would come in that way, but were never expected to leave through that gate. And yeah, that, and seeing the place where Anne Boleyn lost her head, as well as a lot of other people. It was just a green at the time when I went. They didn't have anything. There wasn't a plaque or anything. It was just like a green with a little bit of gravel, and a beefeater said that's where they decapitated everyone or beheaded everyone. I was
Do
like,
you
oh,
Murdered, killed.
do you think that there's added feeling there just because people know the history too? Like sort of a I mean, not just the people that were killed there, but people expect like there's like almost like how a tulpa is created, like you almost are
that's a
like
good theory, because
I mean,
people
I don't
go
know if
there
that's possible.
expecting to
They
see
expect it, yeah.
yeah, they're expecting to see a ghost when they go to the Tower of London. There was a ghost story about Anne Boleyn running through the tower. It was either Anne or Catherine Howard, her cousin. No, it was Anne at the tower, um, trying to run away in her green dress, to beg for her life from Henry VIII. And that was just not true at all. She never did that. Catherine Howard, her cousin, did do that at Hampton Court,
Hmm.
and she did break out and try to plead forgiveness from Henry before she was just hauled away.
Hmm.
So that's an interesting mixing of the two stories of these two women who were victims of Henry VIII. And definitely people want to see the ghost of Anne Boleyn run through, because they've seen Natalie Dormer play her and they hope that
Hmm.
she looked like Natalie Dormer.
Well,
So,
you see those torture museums where they have all the different implements and stuff,
mhm.
and you wonder if the fascination with that is wondering if there's something attached to it or feeling the people that experienced it or whatever.
I mean, there could be that. Um, it just goes into that dark tourism and that dark side
Yes.
of curiosity that all humans have. And it's kind of strange going to those now and knowing a lot of the contraptions that they have up were not real. They were never used, and they're
It
just
was
there for
more a
tourists.
psyops.
Yeah, and exactly. And but people don't all know that. They don't want to admit they want to read about torture history.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
super dark and twisted. And yeah, it's the only place that I know of, and unfortunately I'm forgetting which castle. It's in Scotland, and I'm sure listeners are going to just scream at me. There is a castle in Scotland that does have on display a lot of its very bloody history in its dungeon. And it was known as a torture location. I can't remember which one it is, but you can go and you'll see like a solitary pit where they'd throw people in and just
Hmm.
put a grate over it and just listen to them scream for weeks on end.
Oh
So
God.
yeah, it's not great. And you'll see like people even in the Tower of London, you'll see the graffiti that people carved into the stone while they were
Yeah,
imprisoned.
a lot of
Like,
famous stuff.
yeah, there's a few historians I follow on social media, and they'll show like the graffiti with Anne Boleyn. Um, Clearly, I've read a lot of stuff about her recently. Somebody had carved her family seal into the stone
Whoa.
of the White Tower while they were in prison. and she had a very distinctive bird on a field type of illustration for her. And they still have supporters of her would put the same bird motif in a lot of places where Henry VIII was, like in the churches and stuff, but they would hide it in like frescoes and stuff. And only super eagle-eyed and maybe boring people, like parishioners, would notice that, like, hey, that gargoyle isn't a gargoyle, it's Anne Boleyn's bird. Like,
That's
so
cool.
I like that with this very subtle trying to protest of the current king type thing. So
Exactly,
and it
exactly.
still survives 500 years later. So
That's
yep.
exactly.
Yep.
Well, on that note, we didn't ask Jen, what have you been up to?
Nothing.
Oh, Jen.
Uh,
Did you go out and take any fun photos of anything?
no. I've been I need to get a job, like a real one. And I've been kind of avoiding that issue, but I've been watching a lot of YouTube on how to make journals.
Okay.
Neat. Are you
And-
going to journal?
No, I just kind of want to make them.
Mm.
Oh, like make the books.
Yeah, make the like book
Oh, that's
bookbinding.
cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So yeah, I don't know if I dive into that because I have plenty of supplies
Mm-hmm.
that have not been used in years. If I should start trying to make stuff and maybe try to sell stuff, but I don't know how to get into a craft fair or an art festival. And from what I hear, those aren't always worth it, and it's a lot of work. And yeah, I don't know. All I know is that I can't go back to the corporate world. I can't.
Mm.
You
I think a
know,
lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
and anything outside the corporate world doesn't pay enough.
Mm-hmm.
So short of
always a
winning the
headache.
lottery, I don't I don't know, but I need to find something
Mm-hmm.
like now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've been doing. So basically avoiding what I should be doing and just, watching YouTube.
Mm.
There's a lot of useful stuff on YouTube.
There really is. There is. And I don't know how to get out of my bubble, my search bubble, right? Because they always show you the same stuff over and over. I'm like, okay, so I've watched all that. I get all this. Can I get other stuff? But I don't know what the other stuff is I want
Mm-hmm.
till I see it. So I don't know.
Totally get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been all right, but not all right at the same time too. So
Mhm. How are the cats?
they're fine. Fed. Jensen is a huge little jerk. He's about the same size of Clover now.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm sure he'll
he's
be bigger.
He's not a year yet.
No.
He's getting close though. Likes to bite and scratch. Lovingly, of course, when he draws blood.
Only most loving of bites.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, he's not scratching me as much as he was, even just a few months ago. So
Mhm.
he's calming down a little bit. Right now he's
Yeah.
under the desk sleeping at my feet.
No.
Aw.
That's
But
you.
wants to eat all the cords, wants to climb the walls,
Oh,
wants
that's
to climb
so
the
annoying.
curtains.
Yeah.
And I hope that dies down at some point.
No.
It will. It will. He'll calm down. And then
But-
he'll be like, I missed that little kitten that was clawing me all the time. And
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when he lays on me, he's the full length of my torso.
Wow.
And yeah, I was gonna say something. I don't know. He just is a little. I love him, little shit. But
Wow.
that and the cicadas, we have cicadas again.
Yes.
Um,
Thank you, Jen,
pictures.
for sending me the video of cicadas.
You're
I miss
welcome.
them.
Yeah.
We do have a
They're
variety in Washington,
Mhm.
but they are not nearly as loud as the
Yeah.
broods
Oh
in
my god.
Cincinnati.
They are deafening, and I don't have any at my house, but my sister has them.
Mhm.
And I was dog sitting this weekend because they were in New York, and I can't let the dog out for too long because she wants to eat all the flying treats,
Oh man.
Now
and
we
it's
do
not
cover
good
that
for
they
them.
are good protein,
Oh my god.
but their
It's true.
carcasses may be a little bit difficult, their exoskeletons may be a
Mhm.
little difficult to digest.
Yeah, I have heard people having to take their dogs to the vet to have surgery,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
just don't want her to get to that point. And
No.
they're traveling again here in another week, so they'll be
Wow.
gone for 2 weeks, and I'll be watching the dog for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And previously,
Wow.
I was like, "Oh, I'll
They're
just let
lucky to
her."
have you.
Yeah.
Well, she's still a puppy-ish. She's over a year old, but she has a lot of energy. And I was just gonna let her out in the yard and run around, but I can't do that because of the stupid cicadas. So,
When we would have to walk our dogs during the Brood X
mhm.
a few years ago, we would have to wear essentially a safari hat with a
Mhm.
net
Oh, Nate.
so that when we wouldn't have cicadas flying into our face.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
That's no fun.
They're not
Chewy
quite
was-
that bad this time, but
Yeah, that's good. Chewy was still not a fan. He
yeah.
was just like, "Whoa, what's this? Whoa, what's this?" And then, speaking of things Chewy is not a fan of, the bears are out.
Uh-huh.
We have this is fun. We have a mama bear and two
Aw.
sets of twin
Aw.
girls. And one set is now about 5 years old, and the second set's about 2. And they're all now out and loose on our mountain, and a big boy bear has joined the party.
Uh-oh.
And this big boy bear has brought a raccoon band with him. Wherever
Oh my
he
God.
goes, there is a family of raccoons that knows that he's just going to leave stuff all over the ground.
Oh, that's
So they just
funny.
follow him around and eat whatever they can.
That's
And
just
Oh,
so
that's
weird.
a few nights
hilarious.
ago, I could hear the chattering of raccoons. It's kind of
Mhm.
you know what the sound is when you hear it. And Chewy flipped out. He was just like, "Ah, something's outside. Ah,
Oh.
close the screen door." Ah, like
Oh,
he's just running around.
it's
And we're
probably
like,
hard to calm them down.
"Oh goodness, yes it is." I looked out and I
Aw.
could see 3 little humped bodies of raccoons following this big butt. And I was just
Yeah.
like, "Oh, they were going down the street." And at like 10 o'clock at night. So it on
Wow.
trash nights, which is what tonight is, and this is why we have bear-proofed bins. One of the
yes.
bears decided that it needed to aerate our handle, and now there is dozens of chew marks all over our poor bin, and we're just like, "Thanks, bear. This is what needed to happen. Make it uncomfortable for me to take my own freaking trash out." So
Oh.
on
Wow.
that note, everyone, thank you
Yes,
for
well, it's been
joining
great
us.
catching up.
It's been 2 months. Cat is sassy.
Let's have more sassy episodes.
We'll have more
Yes.
sassy episodes. But for now, you can follow us, everyone, at our Hometown Haunts community places, such as the Hometown Haunts community on Facebook, Instagram at Hometown Haunts _podcast, and Blue Sky at hometownhaunts.bsky.social. And then also we have an email that you can send your own hometown stories to, which is hometownhauntedmail@gmail.com. Well, I'm Kat. That is.
I'm Christina.
And I'm Jen.
And we have wrapped up this episode. Good night, everyone.
Yeah,
Stay
good
safe.
night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.